I'm Jim. I was born and raised in the Bronx. I was born into a religious Roman Catholic family. It was Mass on Sundays, Mass every holy day of obligation. When I was in elementary school, I was an altar boy. And ironically, that's where I had my first drink. Before every Mass and after every Mass that I served from then on, I went and had the Christian Brothers wine. Back then, the legal drinking age was 18. So it wasn't hard to find a senior. You give him a few bucks, he'd buy you a six-pack of beer after school. So after high school, I enrolled in Bronx Community College. I realized, you know what? I have to do a lot of work. I have to do a lot of studying. And this is really going to cut into my drinking time. So I decided to leave college. I got a job in the maritime industry. And at the same time, I had a part-time job tending bar in the Bronx, in the neighborhood bar where we hung out in. Not a good idea for someone who loved alcohol as much as I did. And then in 1983, I made the best decision I ever made in my life. I married Lorraine. And at the same time in 1983, I got a job in sales. In sales, you had a travel and entertainment budget. So at the end of every month, we turned in our expenses. I always went over budget. Anytime you went over budget, you had to eat it. You had to pay for it yourself. So in 1987, everything came crumbling down. It put us into a huge financial situation. We had to get ourselves out of it. So we sat with Lorraine, we talked, and I said, I have a problem, and we have to do something about it. So we did the old no alcohol in the house, no going out to eat, stay home, no drinking. So August 2nd, 1987 was the first day I didn't have a drink in over 20 years. And I haven't had a drink since. We always talked about having a family. That in 1989, our daughter Annie was born. She had a few complications. Well, when Annie was born, we found out she was blind. All through my life, I've been faced with people close to me have died. And I was always mad at God. I always felt he was a God of punishment. He was punishing me for my alcoholism and for the things that I did while I was drinking. And now here comes this poor little child, and she's blind. So I had a few choice words for him. Well, about 4 months later, Annie started to get her sight. We found out she was developmentally delayed. She's not perfect, she'll never be 20/20, but at least she can see. And I always, till I got to Hoboken Grace, blame God. It was always his fault. Annie's eyesight was because I deserved it. She got sight because I stopped drinking, I did the right thing. God had nothing to do with it. So after Annie graduated college, she came home for dinner one Sunday, and she told us, she goes, I found this church in Hoboken, I really like it. And then she looked at me and she said, and Dad, you'd like it too, they have donuts and coffee. Well, right then and there, I decided two things were wrong. One, I had to lose weight. And two, my feelings about the Lord were rubbing off on them. I didn't want that to happen. After a couple of months, we started coming to Hoboken Grace. And Annie was right, the donuts and the coffee were good. And I'm sure Chris doesn't want to hear this, but for about a year, I didn't pay attention. So finally, I started listening to the words of the songs and saying, you know what, this makes sense. Then I started listening to Chris's conversations, and I was like, maybe I was wrong all these years. Maybe he's not a God of punishment. Maybe he's not punishing me. In 2019, Annie decided she was going to get baptized. Then one Sunday, Anthony had what I call Baptism Sunday, so my wife and my son both got baptized. And I was the last one in December 2019. So in 2019, our whole family got baptized here in Hoboken Grace. It's been an extraordinary experience. I joined a group, and in one of the sessions, someone said, well, I don't like going to a bar when I can't drink. And I said, well, I'm an alcoholic. I don't like going to a bar because I can't drink, and I'm afraid to take that first drink. That's the first time I ever said in public that I'm an alcoholic. I never admitted it before. And that's a byproduct of Hoboken Grace. So the next meeting, James came, and he said, you know, Hoboken Grace is starting a pilot called Crossroads. And he said, it's for people with an addiction, who are clean from your addiction, who want to find how God can help them, and to find out how God keeps you clean and sober in everyday life. And again, being the pessimist that I am, I was like, What can Crossroads do for me, a 64-year-old person who hasn't had a drink in over 30 years? Well, it led me to have a softer heart. It helps me look at people through different lenses now. The biggest takeaway I got from it is, when you have an addiction, you're fighting a battle. And I know, after Crossroads, that the good Lord is standing right next to me every second of every minute of every hour of every day, helping me fight this addiction. And as long as He's next to me fighting the addiction, you're never going to lose a battle.